You are listening to the Life Coach School podcast with Brooke Castillo, episode number 342.
Welcome to the Life Coach School podcast, where it's all about real clients, real problems, and real coaching. And now, your host, Master Coach Instructor, Brooke Castillo.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the podcast today. Today, we have a very exciting podcast. We are talking to a panel of professors, university professors who are also life coaches. And one of my colleagues, Bev Aaron, asked me to do this podcast because she wants to hear from all of you. And I thought everyone would find it super interesting. And I wanted to meet all of you and talk to you about how you're using life coaching in your life. So I'd like to start with just a short introduction from each of you, how you became a university professor, and then how you found life coaching. And then we'll go into how you're using life coaching in your life. So let's start with you, Anne.
Okay. Hi there, everybody. And hello, Brooke. I am Ann Brewster, Dr. Ann Brewster, and I am a professor at Duke University. Mm-hmm. And my area of focus is on the school dropout issue. And so I develop interventions for kids who are at risk of dropping out and mental health issues or criminal justice involvement. And I have piloted the model, using the model with these kids.
Wow.
And it's been amazing and fascinating and fun. And I've been writing grants to do this work.
Love it.
So this is what I'm doing. How I became a professor is years ago when I was a teenager. I was a truant teenager and I dropped out of high school myself.
Okay.
And I had to rewrite my story of calling myself an early school leaver and not a school dropout.
I love it.
And so this led me to do this kind of work about revising our stories so that we can reach the goals we want to reach. And then I worked toward getting my bachelor's and master's and PhD.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because how powerful is just changing the sentence there? It's like such an example of the model, isn't it? It's like changing from high school dropout to, what'd you say, early school leaver?
Well, I would say I left high school early.
I left high school early. It just feels so different, just changing that one sentence. That is really powerful. Love it. Okay. So go ahead, continue.
Okay. And so I have always been interested in this kind of work. I think early on at 15, when, sort of everything's crashing and burning, I found Wayne Dyer. Pulling your own strings.
Yes.
And so I often say, even your own family or teachers don't often get you. And so you've got to take the reins. And I just realized I actually said things to myself like, I am smart, even though I had dropped out. And I'm going to keep going with this. And so then, fast forward many years, I found your podcast while walking. Mm-hmm. And it's like with many of us, we listen a little bit more, a little bit more. Then I start thinking self-coaching scholars. I want to join that. Mm-hmm. I did. I started applying all of your principles. They started just elevating everything I'd done on my own to just much more of an even maximum level.
Nice.
And then I became a certified coach as well. So joined that. Mm-hmm. And I am now merging all the work that I've learned and continue to learn. That's the main thing.
Right.
With teaching kids and bringing this work to many people who've been going through a lot of adversities, including vets at some point. I'd like to work with vets. So that's
I love this.
It's come to be.
I wish I would have gone to your school and had you teach the model to me when I was in college, right? Can you imagine having it so early? That's amazing. So I want to hear a little bit more about that in a minute. All right, let's go to you, Paula.
Yeah, so my name is Paula Engebretson, and I have been working at my current university for the last 4 years, but I've been adjuncting and as a postdoc as well before that. And for the first several years of, after finishing grad school, entering the job market in academia, I was dealing with a ton of stress and anxiety and trying to, figure out the responsibilities of service and teaching and scholarship and trying to balance all the things. And I thought that the answer was just in finding the right productivity tool or like time management hack.
Right.
So I got really obsessed
calendar.
with that. Yes. So I thought that was the right answer. So I went crazy on finding all of the right things, and they were helpful, right? Sure, they were helpful, but I was still super stressed all the time. And I just had a lot of great planners as well. So then about 3 years ago, I was listening to some productivity podcast, and they recommended, the recommended listening underneath was the Life Coach School. So I clicked on it,
nice.
and I listened to your first episode was on time management is the one that I listened to. And you shared something that just blew my mind, which was being busy is optional. I was like, what?
Right.
What?
You're like, that's not true.
He clearly doesn't know my schedule, right?
Right.
But I kept listening, and it really hooked me in. And then, as Anne was saying, I just kind of went all the way back to one and listened through and was really applying these tools. And then what was so important about them for me is that it made everything else fall into place. I had the productivity tools, I had the organization, but they weren't sticking, and I was still stressed. But once I had that thought work component, that's when everything really kind of fell into place. So then in April of 2019, I joined Scholars, which at the time was your time management month. And within a couple weeks, I was signed up for certification because good. I mean, my life was 180 degrees different. The way that I was showing up, not only as a professor, but just in my personal life and everything was just completely different. And so I knew that I could not only take the work deeper for myself, but for anyone else I was working with. So
love it. So
I'm here.
Let's back up just 1 second. How did you become a professor? Did you go to school knowing that's what you wanted to do? How did that decision happen?
Yeah. So I went to school thinking I was going to teach high school. And then one of my professors, I just had some really incredible professors. I went to a small state school in Minnesota. And what I love about that is it was a lot of close one-on-one attention. And I had some really powerful experiences with my professors. And I was so inspired by what they did that I just knew that I wanted to keep going and have that opportunity to work with my students, with college students going forward. So I was really inspired by who I got to work with.
Love that. Awesome. Okay. What about you, Olya?
Hey, everybody. My name is Dr. Olya Salman, and I'm a professor of strategy at Olin Business School at Washington University in St. Louis. And my path to becoming a professor was long and not really straight, but I knew from the beginning that I was all into business. Anything about entrepreneurship, businesses, conglomerates, I was interested in. And as I pursued my studies in undergrad and my master's degrees, I realized that I'm really interested in understanding how businesses work, more like on a conceptual level rather than on a practical level. And that's when I decided to pursue a PhD. So now, I guess all my life, my academic life, I've been in business schools. So that's my jam. How did I find my way to Life Coach School is when I was navigating the tenure track process, it really wasn't easy for me. It was pretty evident early on that it would just take more than just being a good teacher, a good researcher. So in the process, I sought lots of advice, received lots of advice, good and bad. But all of that advice really was very situational, very action focused, which was fine, but it was very a temporary fix. So after a while, when conditions changed, then, the similar problems would emerge. And I realized I was treating the symptoms, not the particular condition, the underlying disease. So what I realized, the farther you go, the different skills you need. And unless you understand how your brain works and the mindset and why you do certain things you do, it just becomes really impossible to adjust to new situations, to new conditions that the job demands were asking of me. So very similarly to Dr. Engerbretson, I was also seeking out different ways to tool up, so to speak. So I was looking for confidence podcasts, or writing skills, teaching skills, time management, went through several academic productivity programs. They were all helpful, but they were not really curing my underlying condition. And very similarly to Dr. Engelbretson, I was on one of the podcasts. I wish I remember which one it was. Somebody just mentioned Brooke Castillo, and they didn't even type it up or anything in their notes. And I just typed it in Google search because the concepts that they were referring to really piqued my interest. And that's how I found your podcast.
Wow.
And as I listened to you, it just struck me how you explained exactly why I was feeling the way I was feeling, why I was doing what I was doing, and not doing what I wanted to do. So that pretty much started it all. So I really went systematically through all your podcasts available at the time, then signed up for Scholars, made lots of individual progress, and decided to learn more and get certified and help others like me. So that's kind of the path that I took. And a quick shout out to Dr. Brewster. I'm a Dookie as well, so go Blue Devils.
So did you all know each other, or no? Is this the first time you're all meeting each other?
For me, it is, yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right. What about you, Dr. K?
Hello, my name is Milena Korostenskaya. I go by Dr. K usually with those students.
Dr. K.
And I am, first and foremost, I'm a neuroscientist, and this is how I came already to the university. I teach at the University of North Florida. And also I teach once a year, one semester at my home university, which is Vilnius University in Lithuania, one of the oldest universities in Europe.
Wow.
Yes, and I teach actually for the students from the program from which I graduated. So I was in the first cohort of neurobiology program. So.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. Okay.
And how I came to teaching, actually Dad was a teacher. He was a department chair, and he was teaching physics and mathematics. And I think, again, if we look at the thought pattern, yes, probably he was talking, he was behaving certain way, and I was picking up on that because I remember from the early years, I was putting all my dolls and I was teaching. I had a journal, I was giving them grades, they were learning different poems.
I love it. I did the same thing. All my stuffed animals, they were my students. I feel like when you're a teacher, you know it, right? That's so great.
Absolutely. And I felt that a need to teach, to share what I know. I even remember teaching children in the daycare the alphabet and how to write letters, what my dad taught me. So I was always doing that.
I love it.
But then I also became very interested in science. And I decided to pursue career in science. I received 2 PhDs actually in biomedical sciences, yes, and in behavioral sciences, psychology. So, but that was all really research oriented, research, brain research. And I was missing sharing all that information. I felt I know so much, and it's all like a bubbled in me, yes, but like it's all in a bottle. I need to share it. And actually, there was a need for a course on all these brain imaging methodologies that I learned going to different countries. I studied in Finland. So in Vilnius, I started teaching the first brain imaging course and also neuropsychology course. And then I got a position here already in the United States. And I became a part-time professor at the University of North Florida. That was my first appointment. And then I was invited by Vilnius University to continue teaching. And also innovative course on brain-computer interface. So this is my main area, how we connect our brain to the computers. So it's adaptive neurotechnology course, which is very, very, very interesting. And students are absolutely excited about that. So this is how I started teaching, and I have a position as associate professor.
Do you love teaching?
Absolutely love it. I absolutely enjoy it. And although, I'm busy in a way that I have many things to do, quite a few things, but I wouldn't give up my teaching. And I think absolutely enjoy it. And I think what the most interests me is that students, they have dreams. They're dreaming. They want to do something in this world. They still have that connection to themselves. And it's so important to support it and help it to grow and help it happen. So I think that's the most beautiful thing with the teaching.
Yeah, love that. So how did you go from neuroscience to life coaching?
Very good question. And also my dad, he was already, when I was little, he was telling me about the yogis in India, how they can sleep on the bed with the nails and all kinds of interesting stuff. And that all this is actually a power of our mind. So that concept I already had from very early years. I was reading a lot of literature, doing exercises, recording my voice with the affirmations, all of that. And then I also wanted to get promoted at my institution. And have just more people in my team. So I was told that you need to go to leadership courses. And our institution was organizing those leadership courses. So I attended about 21 leadership course.
Wow.
All. And what was very interesting, there were courses like coaching for improvement, coaching for success. So there was a lot of words, coaching. And then I also heard that some people at our institution, they're getting personal coaches, mostly in leadership, if they need help with something.
Got it, yeah.
So again, coaching. And then when I started teaching at Vilnius University, Lithuania, so I do it remotely, I've heard that some of the graduates of our neurobiology program, they organized neurocoaching in London. And that it's very popular.
Wait. Neuro coaching?
Neurocoaching. Yes.
Wow. All right. I love this term. Okay.
Yes. So I was thinking, okay, I absolutely love neuroscience, and coaching is something that I'm constantly seeing. So, and this is the connection. So I found neurocoaching. I took the whole course on neurocoaching. But it is already advanced things that actually you can learn when you know what the coaching is, what the life coaching is. I understood I'm missing this big piece of how to work with the person, how to hold the space and all those things. And I just started Googling. I found one place I went, it was in person, and I decided that probably just in person will be difficult for me each time to go because there is nothing in Florida currently where I am. And then I started Googling again, and I found the life coach school.
Good job, Google. Good job.
Yes. And I immediately signed up. So I didn't wait because I already knew what I'm looking for. And I watched several of your videos and I loved it. And I think it for a scientist, it's very appealing. It's very clear. There is a structure. There is a model. I loved it. And I signed up. And I'm so happy that I did.
I love your story. That's so great. It's so humbling to me to be exposed to so many people that are going through the school that are so much smarter than me. Like, it's so fascinating. I think that's why Aaron was like, oh my gosh, you would not believe the caliber and the intelligence and the education. You know, you have 2 PhDs, you know, the level of education. that so many of you have, it just goes to show that it's not knowledge. It's not how smart we are. If we can't manage our own minds, right, we're still going to struggle. And so I love just kind of the indication that you all provide here that learning to manage your brain changes everything, and understanding that and applying that to your life. So I love that. So I would love to go through and have you share maybe one of the tools or some of the knowledge that you've learned that you apply to your life, and how do you utilize it in your life? Let's start with you, Anne.
Well, I personally apply. Let's see, because I work so much with the teenagers on.
Oh, and that's fine. If you'd rather talk about what you used with the teenagers, that's great too.
Okay, I think I might.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, so I have worked in a school where I pilot these interventions or curricula for kids who are actually long-term suspended. So it is a public school, and this is where they go. So often they're there for fighting. It could be for, having a substance, that was found on them, an illegal substance, but various reasons. And one of the things we've actually worked on, goals, people always say, oh, are you working on goal setting with teens? And I say, yes. And we do work on the typical goals of driver's license, getting a B in a class or such. But one of the magical things that I do with these kids is the impossible goal. And many of these kids are low income, have had many adversities. An impossible goal is sort of almost like impossible to wrap oneself around bringing that to these kids.
Yes.
So one of the young Black women that I worked with, a teenager, she said, I said, really how I started is I say, what is a secret thing, a wish that you have inside you that you've really not told anyone about, that you'd like to be doing? And this, what a
beautiful question. I mean, that's a beautiful question for us to ask our youth. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, because, knowing adolescents, a lot is kept to themselves. And we create a safe space. We work with just a small group, 6 or 7. And she said, I want to be an African-American woman mystery writer who has a Black woman as the main, protagonist. So I said, wow. And I went home and I started typing in, Black women mystery writers to try to find is there a group out there? Is there something she can join? But I came back and I basically said, great, let's talk about how you can do this. So using the tools of setting a goal, what are the obstacles in your way?
Yes.
And so she's home. She has to babysit a 7-year-old, little sister. And, that, gets in my way. I've got to feed her, etc. I said, well, why don't you maybe bring a chair over, have her come over and sit next to you. Tell her you're working on a book and you need some help with the characters and their names and what they're wearing. And, just see if you can get her engaged while you're taking care of her. So the idea is we work with the circumstances that these kids are in.
Yes.
And then work also on their impossible dreams. And
I love it.
Lit up. We even had names. We had on the board, the name of the novel, and we envisioned it with her. And I get them up. They're drawing their models on the blackboard.
I love it. I love this. This is so touching for me to think about how many children, young adults, are never asked what their dreams are never asked what the real dreams are. I think we ask questions like, what do you want to do for a living? How do you want to, take care of yourself? Or what do you think is practical for you to do? But what is your dream? And if the answer is, I don't know, pursuing that with our young people and telling them how important it is for them to harbor that and to have that and to listen to that within them. That is really beautiful. I love it. And then using the tool of, yes, every big goal seems impossible until you write down the obstacles and create strategies to overcome them. That's how it is. But I think a lot of our young aren't taught that just because something seems impossible doesn't mean that you shouldn't still do it, right? That's amazing. I love that. That's so great. Okay. What about you, Paula?
Yeah. So I think in terms of something that I've been using or something that's been really impactful for me, it was the how to get it done Monday hour one approach. I think that this is really transformative. It just helps on so many levels to balance the different requirements of the job in terms of the research and the writing and the teaching and the service and stuff. And I think that this approach and then the thought work that goes with it really helps to combat busy, right? It makes us look at where we're intentionally spending our time. It helps me personally with my favorite mode of buffering, which is procrastinating, where I'm like doing stuff that's not actually going to create the result.
Teaching me all the new terms. I love it. So procrastinating. Okay, say what it is again.
That's like when I'm getting lost in my inbox or trying to make my slides look really nice, but like,
yes,
so
good.
It's not going to get the article written. So that it really helps to get the priorities straight and then also ensure that I am setting aside time for family or for whatever, just to be able to create that balance. Because also, once you figure out your ideal week and you lock in your workflow, you know how long stuff generally takes, it's unbelievable how much your productivity just skyrockets and you get so much more efficient when you have it locked in and you learn to follow through on the calendar, which is of course where the mindset comes in. But like that was really huge for me, at least in terms of using the tools for myself.
Yeah, love it. So what Paula's referring to is actually in Scholars. We put the whole Monday Hour One course in Scholars now. So if you're in there, you can access that class. But one of the things that I used to get asked all the time is like, how in the world do you get so much done with such little help in terms of employees? Like, I'm so productive. And it is using thought work, but you have to do it where you understand how the brain works. And so being able to empty out your brain with Monday Hour One in the beginning of the week is so important. And then understanding, okay, now I have a plan. Anyone can have a plan. That's the easy part. That's why people say to me, what planner do you use? What calendar do you use? That is not the most important piece, right? It's the thought work to get you to execute the plan. And it's so rewarding once you do it, right? Because you end up with so much more time, getting so much more done, and then planning for that time, for your free time, planning that first. So for those of you who don't know about Monday Hour One, come on, people, get into Scholars and get that course. That's awesome. Okay. What about you, Olya?
I coach people who basically have similar issues as me. So it's kind of like there's a lot of synergies with what I do personally and also how I help others. Some of the common issues that researchers encounter is really like this notion of dealing with a high level of uncertainty. You're just doing such new stuff that nobody has done before, and that's where your contribution is. And when you're doing something completely new that the world hasn't seen before, it's scary. You don't know where you're going. You're really wanting to know the how, and there's tons of failures. You just don't know how to get there until you get there. And this combined with also this general sense of like that researchers and professors, I guess, generally in academia, should be self-sufficient to a degree. There's a lot of focus on individual effort. So one of the biggest things that I've been working on is changing this perception of what it means to have a coach. So having or needing a coach is not a sign of weakness. It's actually what you need to have to progress to the next level. So the analogy that I like to use is professional athletes. If a professional athlete is training for, say, Olympics, have you ever seen one without a coach, relying on their own old selves, trying to coach themselves all the way to the Olympics? You just don't see that. There is a good reason why you need a coach, because you are trying to achieve things that are very difficult to do. You're really trying to see what you're made of. You're pushing yourself beyond what you think you're capable of going. And for that process to really unfold in a way that is conducive to having a good, well-rounded well-being in academia, you really need a coach. And basically, what it results in is with a coach, you see the things that you cannot see. And with the help of the coach, you are able to unleash your creativity, stop being an obstacle to yourself, and most importantly, enjoy sustainable productivity instead of this, just crash and burn and then just pick up yourself again and then muster all your energy, sprint, and then you crash and burn. That's unsustainable productivity. So I think one of the key things in my work has been really letting people know that it is possible to have high level of productivity and not burn out, high level of productivity and enjoy your life, your experience. Achieving something doesn't have to be the end goal, but experiencing, seeing what you're made of is the experience.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing.
I love that. As you were talking, I was thinking, if there was a professional athlete that didn't have a coach, we would be like, what's wrong? Why? Right? We would be confused. What do you mean you don't have a coach? So I think it's kind of interesting to think about our own lives as having a coach being a reflection of how serious we're taking it and how serious we're taking our goals and where we're heading, and acknowledging that, yes, we need a coach that has perspective from the outside. I mean, I always am looking for coaches and wanting people to coach me because they can see things I can't see. I was like imagining a gymnast, right? Why does a gymnast need a coach? Because the coach can see what they can. When they're in the middle of doing it, they can't see what they're doing. And so getting that feedback, that's really, really well said. I love that. Okay. What about you, Dr. K?
Yes, so the most transformational for me and also for my clients is allowing emotions. Yes. Processing emotions. And that really makes all the difference in life. Yes. Because we are not used to doing that. Yes, we are subconsciously are just afraid, yes, of something that is not comfortable in our body. So if we feel anxious, we even don't acknowledge that. We just feel something is weird. I better do something different. Yes, I better go and eat because it will make me feel better. Yes, instead of just look at it. Yes, so this is some neurochemical reaction in our body that just simply doesn't feel comfortable. And this is all that it is. Yes. And this one I can call anxiety. Yes. So this I can call worry, this fear. And when we give a name to this something that is happening in us, it stops to be scary. It's not scary to us anymore. We don't need to run. We don't need to do something about it. We can just look at it, as simple as that, and continue with the things that we were doing. And what I notice in my clients, that many of the clients, they're even ashamed of feeling a certain way. Yes, they're feeling guilty. They feel shame for not feeling good. Yes. How we have that label. And it becomes so deliberating for them to just to know that there is nothing wrong with feeling one way or another. And you look at those feelings and just let them happen and still do what you want to do. So I think that's the most powerful thing that I've learned and that I'm teaching. And even not trying to lose weight, I actually started losing weight because I don't need to run and eat each time. I feel uncomfortable inside.
Yes, that's so well said. Yes. I recently was at a mastermind and there were only 2 women there. And there was a bunch of men, and they want to know how I make money, right? They're always interested in how I make money. And they said, tell us some of your rules for life. And what I ended up telling them, I'm like, okay, do you guys really want to know something I think will be helpful is you got to feel your feelings. And, they kind of rolled their eyes at me. And I asked them to all name feelings and feel feelings. And by the end of the conversation, they were so excited and so riveted by it. And I think it's like one of the most simple things we teach, and it's by far the most powerful. So for those of you who've like listened to the podcast and listened to us talk about allowing your feelings and feeling your feelings, and you kind of maybe dismiss that, I think like bringing that back and like, what exactly does that mean? And are you actually doing it? I think that will have the most profound impact on getting the results that you want. In terms of allowing yourself to feel your feelings makes you the most powerful version of yourself. So I would agree with that. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and stating kind of what you're using in terms of life coaching. I think it's so impactful to have people as smart as you. You know what I mean? You guys have, multiple degrees. You understand, especially your degrees in psychology and neurobiology, and still knowing that the basics of mind care, the basics of emotions, the basics of time management are still so important. It doesn't matter how advanced we get, how much money we make, how many degrees we get, we always have to come back to the basics of taking care of ourselves. So I really appreciate you all sharing that. If you guys could end with maybe just, if someone wants to find out more information from you or anything, the kind of last thing that you want to say, especially if you offer coaching outside of your regular job, you could offer that as well. So let's go start with you, Anne.
Well, I'm working on a book called Transformational Resilience. And so I have a coaching site called transformationalresilience.com. And it's really about how you tell that story about your past in a more empowering way, attach it to your dream goals. And then the middle part that's so important is having a feeling, a sort of centered sense of agency in the present. And I work with a lot of, the school-based kids and that kind of thing, but also everybody is dealing with adversity. And the idea of taking adversity and turning it into a strength in your mind. It's not letting it go, pushing it away, but your adversity is you, and it's something to embrace. And you could in turn help others because you're aware of the adversity. So it's a whole kind of approach that I've been writing about. And I'm working on research articles that I'll be submitting very soon that incorporate doing the kind of work, that I've gotten from you with these teenagers. So we're going to see the model in a research article pretty soon.
Yes, let's do it. That's excellent. All right. What about you, Paula? Any final words?
Yeah. So I work with people who have ADHD or who generally struggle with concentration and follow through, feel like they're always putting out fires. I have ADHD as well. So that's something that these tools have been really helpful for me with. So, we work together to learn how to manage their mind, strengthen their focus, finish what they start, right? Work with their strengths. So my website is I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com. And I also have a podcast.
I'm busy being awesome.
Yes, that's the kind of busy that I want to be.
That's awesome. I'm busy being awesome.com. Perfect.
And I have a podcast, which is all about focus and time management, productivity, mindset, which is the I'm Busy Being Awesome podcast. We just hit episode 60, which is super fun. So people can follow along on that.
Love it. Okay. What about you, Olya?
I work with women professors on tenure track, and we make productivity goals and just come up with ways to unleash the creativity and develop heightened sustainable productivity and enjoy the tenure track journey for everything that it offers. It doesn't have to be this grueling, awful, anxiety-ridden, overwhelming experience.
Good.
It sounds unbelievable, but you can enjoy tenure track, produce high quality work, enjoy teaching, and spend time with your family without being pulled apart. And you can find me at womenfaculty.com and check it out. Come and join our community.
So is it woman, M-A-N or M-E-N?
Women with M-E-N, womenfaculty.com.
Awesome. Awesome URL. All right, Dr. K. Bring it home, baby.
I help STEM professionals overcome the fear of failure to create the careers and businesses of their dreams.
Nice.
Yes. So, and STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so, what I want to encourage everybody to keep dreaming and to learn the skills to make those dreams a reality. And that's absolutely possible. And I can give many examples of how it happened in my own life. So I'm sharing this with people with whom I work and with many other people. It's possible to find me and get in contact with me at my website, which is neuroapproaches.org, O-R-G. neuroapproaches.org and
neuroapproaches.org.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. All right. Awesome.
I also started podcast, which is Neurocareers in STEM. So I have first episode and many more are coming. So thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your experiences of being a professor and using the Life Coach School tools. Please, if any of those topics sound good to you as a listener where you'd like to get more coaching, please look them up, find their URLs. We'll also have everything in the show notes. I will talk to you all next week. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, you have to come check out Self-Coaching Scholars. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and we apply it. We take it to the next level and we study it. Join me over at thelifecoachschool.com/join. Make sure you type in the THE lifecoachschool.com/join. I'd love to have you join me in Self-Coaching Scholars. See you there.